You're listening to Channel Kindness Radio.
Hello and welcome back to KB Podcast. I'm Kemi Ojikutu and I'm here today with...
I'm Desmond or Desi, and I am 15 years old. I'm from New York, and my main activism is for LGBTQ rights. What about you, Kemi?
I focus on standing against racism and prejudice in our communities and just everyday life and defending those who face racial disparities. So Desmond, thank you. When did you learn about your mental health?
I really learned about my mental health when, I've always been exposed to mental health. And I think mental health is an important thing that more people should focus on because, when you don't pay attention to your mental health, it can get out of control. So what I'm trying to say is I've always known about mental health and I've always been aware of my mental health. And I think it's important that I've always been aware of my mental health. Now, when I learned about it, like in school officially, that was around 6th grade when I first had health class. That was when I officially learned some of the mental health, like depression, or ADHD. I learned about that, and that's when I first had like a class on it. And I currently have a class right now in high school about it. But that's really when I first started getting into mental health. How about you?
I first learned about mental health during quarantine. I'd always known it existed, but when we were all inside and I couldn't see my friends and I couldn't interact with others regularly, it really took a toll on me. And I did research to figure out what it was, and then I figured out how I could help myself. Speaking of, how do you take care of your mental health?
I take care of my mental health by doing meditation, listening to ASMR, and just doing stuff that makes me feel good about myself, like wearing makeup, and whatever just makes me feel happy and validated is what I do to help my mental health.
That's awesome. I like to go outside, read books, talk to my friends. Honestly, sometimes homework is even relaxing, so I really just love to keep myself busy and do things that I enjoy.
How do you talk about mental health with others?
I feel like it's really important to have it in daily conversations. If you bring it up regularly check in with others to see how they're doing and just make it a habit, then it won't seem so uncomfortable when you do feel the need to check in with someone's mental health. I usually just incorporate it into regular conversation with my greetings, like, hi, how are you? Like, how are you doing? If I notice a friend or someone is struggling, then I'll specifically ask them about it. But yeah, just incorporate into regular conversations so that it feels normal. How do you?
I totally agree with you. When I do that, the same exact thing. So, my friends, they feel comfortable to vent to me, and they can vent to me, and I'll try and give them advice because I think that it's important to help people who deal with mental health. So some of my friends, they deal with not about their image, and I can talk to them and say, "You're beautiful," and sorry, my voice cracked. So that's how I do the exact same thing with my friends. I just check up on them, see how they're doing. If they have seemed, not happy today, then I'll go check on them. And speaking of, what challenges do you see with mental health in your areas of interest?
I definitely see a lot of burnout, also anxiety, and sometimes depression. I feel like when you're doing work in activism, it's really easy to be discouraged when you're working so hard for something to happen or to make a change and it doesn't work out, or something else overshadows it, or your voice isn't really heard. And it's really easy to feel unseen and invisible, and also just burnout because you're working so hard and nothing's getting done. But it really affects all of us, and I think it's a really important issue. How about you? What challenges do you see with mental health in your areas of interest?
Well, I am part of the LGBTQ community, so I do see a lot of challenges that go on with bullying, gender dysphoria, depression, not feeling loved, dealing with relationships. There's a lot of struggles of mental health that are in the LGBTQ community for certain reasons, like trans people, they have to deal with gender dysphoria. So I think that there is a lot of different types of mental health in the LGBTQ community that varies from person to person, and that's okay.
Definitely. Why is mental health education important in your areas of interest?
I think that mental health education is important in especially my areas of interest, which, as I said, is LGBTQ, is because it's important to learn about that type of stuff. And I think everyone should be able to learn about that type of stuff, but especially in my areas of interest, because as we see, there's a bunch of anti-trans bills, and we need to, teach the community why these are happening, and what the mental health implications of these anti-trans bills could be. So, like, there's like, you know, banning gender affirming care for youth, forcefully making youth detransition. So I think that it's important that we talk about the mental health struggles that happen within, you know, our community with all these anti-trans bills, especially, the, um, book banning and the banning of gender affirming care for youth. That's why I think mental health education is important in my areas of interest. But why is mental health important in your areas of interest?
I feel like it's very important for people to know that they're not alone and that they're seen and that others struggle with it too. Because when you feel like you're the only one that goes through these things and that you're like the only one, or that you're struggling really hard and no one's seeing you, it can be really easy to just feel alone and uncared about. So mental health education help people see that they're not alone. This is a normal thing that everybody goes through and everyone deals with, and also give them advice on how to deal with it, how to find people or institutions that can help them, and also how they can heal. What can people do to improve their mental health in LGBTQ plus places?
I think that people in the LGBT community can improve their mental health by going to therapy, talking with others who can relate to them, or finding like hangouts online or in real life where you can talk about these issues that you deal with because you're LGBTQ, like gender dysphoria, like I said, or bullying, or depression, or anxiety, or not feeling safe to come out to your parents or your friends. So that's what I think people in my areas of interest can do to help their mental health by just socializing with others who can relate to them. And how can people improve their mental health in your areas of interest?
I completely agree with you. Finding a community is so important, especially in today's world where it's really easy to feel isolated. So I think my answer would be the same as yours. Find a community that's similar minded as you are, that you can relate to and connect with, and then build up family up from that and have a support group.
I definitely agree with that.
All right, thanks. It's been so awesome talking to you, Desmond.
Thank you. It's been awesome talking to you.
You're listening to Channel Kindness Radio.